Hey there, my name is Martin, I'm a software engineer, and today I wanted to talk about estimating time. If things always seem to take longer than you expect, this video is for you. Let's start with smaller pieces of work, something like an individual commit. The way I'd approach these is to try and imagine the code I'd need to write. I browse the files I needed to change or maybe draw some diagrams. And if I knew the area well enough, I'd just do this in my head. And as long as I felt like I had a rough idea of how I'd implement each of these functions or modules that I was envisioning, I thought I'm getting an accurate estimate. And this approach worked okay. It was definitely far from perfect. I'd frequently be off by at least 20 to 50%. And when I looked at them, each mistake seemed sort of special in its own way. So I didn't really think that there's that much improvement I can make. It wasn't until later that I learned that you can get better if you look at some data. And obviously to look at it, you need to gather it first. Fortunately, it's nothing too complicated. You need to keep track of the description of the work, how long it took you, and how long you thought it would take. And a lot of tools will do this work for you. And once you have the data, even from just looking at it, without any fancy analysis, you'll notice some patterns. Here you can see I'm a lazy optimist. I say optimist because I tend to underestimate the amount of work I need, and lazy because there are these big high variance tasks that I really should have broken down into smaller ones beforehand. And it's hard to notice these patterns without having a few weeks worth of estimates to look at in one go. And it is only once you notice these systematic errors and start correcting for them that your accuracy will improve. Joel Spolsky has a great article with more detail about this approach, and I linked that for you in the description down below. I think it's worth checking out. So that's at the ticket single commit level. Let's talk about something more complex, like a feature or a small project. Now, it's very tempting to try and make this leap from like a high-level description to some statement about how long it might take, and I suggest you try and resist that. What that does for me is it creates a sort of an anchor. Like if I make a guess that a feature is easy when it's actually complicated, the fact that I made that guess means that it'll be harder for me to change my mind. I'll need more evidence and more time. And so I would have been better off not making that guess at all. Now, there are a couple of different ways of doing estimates. It's a topic for a whole other video, so I'll just pick top down because I like it. It scales well with the amount of work you put in. So let me show you what I mean. At the start, you've done no work and you have an estimate that has the lowest accuracy. And then as you do more work, the accuracy of your estimate goes up. Now, when I say do more work, it can be a substantial amount. An hour or two at the very least, and for some more complex projects, it can easily go up to days or even weeks. You need to find ambiguity, chase down contradictions, get those resolved, and create a detailed description of the technical solution. It just won't happen on its own. But when engineers are asked to do estimates, the time for it frequently doesn't get accounted for in the same way as, say, coding would. So, for example, if you're using Kanban, there frequently wouldn't be anything on the board, like any items related to planning or estimating. And if that's what you're doing, this pretty much guarantees you're going to be stuck in that zero work, lowest accuracy end of the curve. So if you want some more accuracy in your estimates, you just need to make the time for it. Now, before wrapping up, I wanted to say a few words on keeping your estimates up to date. The earliest estimates you make tend to have this annoying habit of sticking around and making their way into other people's plans. Now, the way I try and fight this is to keep track of who's using these numbers and then email them if things changed. Of course, some of those people then email me back saying they didn't like the new estimates, and I'd email them back, and you can see where this is going. It was very time-consuming and not fun. So when I noticed that some of my colleagues took a different approach, I thought I'd try it as well. And what they do is put their estimates somewhere mutable, like a Google Docs spreadsheet, and just always tell anyone who wanted an estimate to go and look in that document. And they also did some status updates, but they'd never really email anyone directly. So what you get is more like a pull model with maybe like a batch broadcast notification on the side, something like that. And this scales way better, and it results in fewer of these back and forth conversations. I at least like it a whole lot more than this previous approach. Now, that's everything I had for you today. I hope this was useful. And I'd love to hear in the comments about how you guys use estimates, what methods you use, and how accurate you think you are. And there's lots that I couldn't fit into this video, so if there's anything specific you'd like to hear about, please let me know as well. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.